Hello, everyone. Welcome to Achieving Success with Olivia Akin. I'm your host, Olivia Akin. Each week, we will discuss the roadmap of achieving your personal and professional success. We give you real-life stories on growing personally and professionally to achieve your life and career goals with the help of some top-notch guests. Today, we are speaking with Ben Holt. Ben is the visionary founder and CEO of Awakened Breath and the company Connect and Evolve. Renowned as a spiritual leader, breathwork facilitator, healer, and musician, Ben's journey has taken him across the globe, immersing himself in diverse healing practices from both Eastern and Western traditions. Now committed to empowering others, Ben and his team specialize in leading transformational retreats, breathwork sessions, and facilitator trainings, fostering environments for profound healing and personal growth. At the heart of his mission is the Awakened Breath Facilitator plus Consciousness Entrepreneur Training, where Ben shares his wisdom, certifying over 100 students annually in the art of self-healing and conscious entrepreneurship. You can find Ben on Instagram by searching Connect and Evolve, or by going to his website, awakenedbreath.org, or his website, connectandevolve.com. Hello, Ben. It's fantastic having you on the show today.
Hey, Olivia. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's great to we're going to dive into so much because your journey has such an impact and so many different aspects of it. But to start off the show, can you tell me what success means and looks like to Ben Holt?
Yeah, so success to me is really a three parts, if you will, a recipe. And there's this Japanese philosophy and pictograph called the Ikigai. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. But I've kind of boiled it down. Instead of four quadrants, there's really three that I focus on. And that's doing what you love, doing what gives to the world and provides beauty and benefit to the world, and doing what makes money. And whenever you combine these three quadrants, it really revolves around purposeful living. And so I find that, especially in the men's work that we do, but both men and women, we need to live purposefully in order to feel fulfilled and to feel successful. So if we're doing something that we love and it's also providing benefit to the world, and we're able to monetize that so that we can, the money really and the abundance is the jet fuel that fuels the entire experience of doing what we love and doing what gives to the world. So if we can monetize it, then we can really create this beautiful system that allows for us to live purposefully. And when we live purposefully, I find time and time again that that really is what leads to feeling very successful.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I think our purpose can drive all of us. And it's that purpose is usually also our superpower. What drives us and makes us look at things with ease and with confidence, with grace, when others are looking at it as, how are you doing that? Like, what I need to learn from you because I'm not understanding how you're getting from thought process A to thought process B, or the benefits of healing or breath work. And, you really even took the time to not just learn about breath work and healing, but really immerse yourself in that as well. And as I highlighted earlier, your journey as a breathwork practitioner and spiritual teacher led you to explore cultures and cultures worldwide, delving both into Eastern and Western traditions. What prompted you to make the decision and immerse yourself in the diverse cultural experiences, and how did you believe that immersion of cultures would contribute to your personal growth, short-term and long-term, and then on the entrepreneurial side as well?
Yeah, so the entrepreneurial side came later, several years ago, many years ago, I believe 6 years ago. I had an experience with plant medicine with Bufo alvarius, and in that experience, it was a very radical, very powerful experience. This was before Bufo alvarius and plant medicine had kind of taken the West by storm. And so many days after that experience, I was meditating and I had this very powerful awakening experience. Some would consider it a Kundalini awakening or Nirkapa Samadhi in Vedic tradition. And in this experience, I uh, was changed forever. I knew that immediately when it was happening. And for hours and hours, I sat in this profound stillness and felt this over just overbearing bliss, if you will. It was overwhelming. And after that experience, I had this calling to go learn how to work with the medicine that I had taken that led to that awakening experience. And so I went and I learned how to work with the Bufo alvarius. And for a couple of years, I traveled sharing that medicine. And I realized quickly that there was a big lack of integration and preparation for the experience itself, and that people would come out of the experience fragmented and even more confused and dissonant than they were before they went into the experience. And they're going into the experience, mind you, to gain clarity and connection to themselves and God. And so I left that community and set out on a mission to Asia with the intention of learning different healing modalities that were holistic. And this is the Eastern medicine, and learning sound healing, meditation, breathwork, yoga, and applying these holistic modalities to the container within preparation and integration of the plant medicine experience. And this has eventually led me to just focusing on the Eastern modalities and primarily focusing on breath work. And the natural evolution of this has led to, not me facilitating breath work all the time, but me teaching others how to go and facilitate breath work. And not only that, but teaching them how to do it in a way that creates the ultimate amount of impact. It generates income for them so that they can continue to create impact and create sustainability by having a wellness business that supports them and supports the people who they're here to uniquely serve. So.
And one thing that I think is really important to highlight in that is you asked an important question to yourself, whether you realized it or not at the time, when you saw others going through this experience that was so enlightening and so powerful for you that it drove you to go, I know I want to do this in some form for the rest of my life and pay it forward and make an impact in that way. But you were going, wait, why are other people not having the same enlightenment that I'm having? Where's the disconnect falling? And then you took it a step farther and go, okay, well, now I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to see what those things. So for you, as you've worked your way, before we get more into what you're doing now and the breath work and how you do these classes and the importance of these retreats and really, taking the time to learn and collaborate. For you, when you got to the point and stage where you're like, okay, breath work and more of the Eastern side is where I'm going to focus. What was that transition like for you? And what was it like trying to also explain it to other individuals, the importance of doing things properly, taking the right steps to lay things out and ask questions?
Yeah, for me, it was an easy sell because it's breath work is more introductory than the plant medicine experience. Now, at the time where I came back to the States and we were hosting retreats in which we had both in our containers, people were really eager to experience plant medicine. But a lot of the times, people really had the most profound experience during the breath work. So I found that, okay, if breath work is just as impactful and it doesn't have any environmental impact, right? Because the medicine that I was sharing came from a toad. So obviously it came from an animal. It didn't kill the toad by any means, but there was still an environmental impact there. It's a finite resource. Anytime that there's a finite resource that's valuable, that comes from nature, it typically is It has a very negative energetic signature, as we know from the drug cartels, etc. And so, and this medicine happened to comes from Mexico, so the drug cartels were involved. So I found that this wasn't sustainable. Not only was it not being productive, if it wasn't very carefully curated, the experience, the set and setting, the preparation and integration, but it also had this negative environmental impact. So whenever I transitioned to full time with breath work or fully focused on breath work, it wasn't a difficult sell because people at that point were open to anything. People are open to receiving medicine, period. It doesn't really matter what kind of medicine it is, especially when people are just looking to grow and heal and evolve. If people are looking for a very specific medicine experience, it's probably because they're on a very specific medicine path. But regular everyday folks who just want to have better relationships, who want to be better in their career, who want to live a more fulfilling and purposeful life, those people just want something that can help them to achieve that. And if breath work and conscious conversations and beautiful workshops can help them achieve that, then why have a negative impact on the environment with a finite resource that's been negatively impacted through the drug trade whenever you don't have to? And so this was my philosophy going into fully transitioning into facilitating breath work and holistic modalities. And another big reason is because people always have access to their breath. People always have access to their body. People always have access to the holistic approach. When, on the other hand, you don't always have access to ayahuasca or bufo alvarius or MDMA or whatever medicine that you're working with in order to heal. You always have access to your breath. So if we can learn to access our breath and manipulate our breath in a way that brings us into higher vibrational states, it frees traumatic energy from the body. It allows for us to stay regulated and relaxed. And then that's the ultimate mission. And that's the ultimate flex if you're someone who wants to really grow, evolve, and transform into the highest version of themselves.
And I think one thing you brought up, and you brought up a lot of good points and things that make us all think during that, but it's the aspect of also using the resources that are always there to help elevate ourselves. And like you mentioned, it's breath. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank today. You can use your breath to help you elevate and grow if you have the right knowledge on it, right? Or whatever it might be. But and to your point and how you mentioned it, you might not always have the money in the bank to go and get the drugs you might need due to a prescription you have, or go to a certain environment that you think is the best setting for you. You need to create tools where you can go, okay, I can get in this state, I could get in this zone with the natural resources and things that I carry with me all the time. Like,
exactly,
we're breathing, all day, every day. So for you, yes, hopefully that is a great point. But for you, how have you had conversations with people, and how do you navigate individuals who are not sure yet if breath work is the right path, who are trying to learn more about breath work as well?
Yeah, if people are not sure about breath work, it's very easy to help them understand why breath work is important, because most people in the West, especially, their nervous system is in fight or flight. The sympathetic part of the nervous system is activated. And whenever people are in this state of fight or flight and they've been in it for quite some time, if you guide them to just take a nice deep belly breath in through the nose and fill up all the way and just sigh it out, about 3 to 5 of those breaths, this person probably has never taken a breath like that. This person either has never taken a breath or hasn't taken one in quite some time. And when they feel that relaxation, when they feel the transition from the sympathetic part of the nervous system to the parasympathetic, then everything comes into deeper clarity. Everything comes into focus. They feel more relaxed. They feel more at ease. Their body is functioning properly. Their wellness skyrockets. And when this happens, it's a very easy sell. You don't have to try to sell somebody breath work. If somebody's dysregulated and then they become regulated through breathing consciously and intentionally, that person is going to be a believer. They're going to recognize the power of the breath instantly. And then if you want to take it to another level, if someone is very skeptical that breath work can help them to experience a non-ordinary state or a psychedelic state, and you bring them through our primary freedom technique, which is sonic neural breath work, if you breathe them and bring them through this practice, that person will absolutely be a believer because it is very reliable in bringing someone into a non-ordinary trance-like state. And so the breath sells itself. For me, I've never tried to sell breath work. I've never tried to talk about how amazing it is to hype it up and get someone to believe it. I just say, hey, let's take a few breaths together and you let me know how you feel.
And I think that's such a powerful thing. Like you just did with us, the people listening. And if they took that breath along with you, it is something that can really just focus you. Even one can make the impact. And I think sometimes it's also taking that step back and going, okay, I need to integrate this into my everyday life. And what I find too, and I'd love to get your opinion on this because you work with a lot of individuals, is someone who goes into breath work or any modality of healing, any form of, if you're a yoga instructor or Pilates, a lot of times it's those individuals who have really leaned in to that and has seen how beneficial it could be, not just to their healing process, to their well-being, that then and go, okay, now I want to do this and pay it forward and interact with individuals and be able to teach classes and be able to do all these other aspects of it. Have you found that when you're working within different instructors and getting them your courses and content that has been a similar journey for them?
Yeah, people have a powerful experience with breath work, for example, and they realize that, hey, this is a beautiful modality. This is so accessible, and there's nothing without the breath. In yoga, they'll tell you, let your body move with your breath, right? And meditation, it's all about the breath, right? Focusing on your breath in many forms of meditation. And plant medicine experiences and powerful trance-inducing experiences come back to the breath. So it's all about the breath. So learning how the breath is operating and how we can manipulate the breath in certain ways in order to create certain state changes and certain experiences is everything. If you're wanting to create healing experiences, create healing containers that help people to consciously evolve and grow, the breath is everything. And so, yes, we work with students all the time who come in. They say, I've had so many beautiful breathwork experiences, and I'm ready to share this with my community. It oftentimes comes from a personal experience, yes. And when somebody comes in with this motivation and this inspiration, this empowerment, they become a great teacher oftentimes because they know the power of what they are sharing. They know how powerful breathwork can be for their own personal experience. And so they believe in the modality itself, and they are ready and excited and empowered and inspired to share it with others.
And I think that is one of the great things about individuals who go into the teaching space is they know firsthand the benefits, the outlook change it could have on an individual, the impact. And no matter what you're doing in life, when you move from the student to the teacher, due to your own experiences positively and maybe in other areas negatively, and that empowers you to go, okay, no, I want to do this better and really make that impact. It has such a transformation in it as well. And being able to say to people, I've done it. I found the love for breath work, for example, and that's why now I'm teaching you. So let me guide you as a facilitator yourself and someone who does retreats and courses on teaching other facilitators. Let's focus on that certification aspect a little bit more. So when you decided to create this and really lean into helping other facilitators elevate their teachings, provide them the resources to go out and impact others, what made you make that decision? And then what is the process you lay out with the people you are getting certified? Like, what do they go through?
Yeah. So essentially, the high impact healer training, the breathwork facilitator training, plus conscious entrepreneurship training is a 12-week program. And that guides someone in becoming a breathwork specialist, meaning that they become someone who teaches many different techniques and styles of breathwork so that they can be equipped for any situation that a client may be going through, whether they have no energy at all, whether they're stressed and anxious, whether they're having traumatic experiences that they're looking to heal. And once somebody becomes a breathwork specialist, then we move into the second stage, which is learning how to host great workshops at yoga studios, the park, libraries, festivals, you name it, hosting those great workshops. And then we move into hosting awesome retreats and powerful coaching programs. And so these retreats and coaching programs are what's called our high ticket offers, or high impact offers. And these offers are what allow for someone to create the most impact possible and to make great money so that it can be sustainable. This impact can continue to flow. And then we finally move into the conscious business systems, right? So we have our skills with the breath work, our offers with retreats, coaching programs, and workshops, and our business systems, which is conscious marketing, branding, and sales. And conscious marketing, branding, and sales is marketing, branding, and sales with the element of understanding that we're here to create impact first and make money second, because that's how it has to be whenever we're creating this beautiful cycle, this sustainable conscious business. And so when somebody learns the skills, builds the offers, and builds out the systems that bring qualified people into the offers where they can then share those skills, then you have this machine that generates impact, creates value, and it creates great money. So that's what the training is. And it's something that we've developed over many years because it originally started by somebody asking me, hey, I want to become a breathwork facilitator. I love your techniques. Will you teach me your ways? And I said, I don't know about that. It's not really what I do. And they insisted. And so I built a little course around it, and it started at 6 weeks. And from there, it continued to grow. We had 2 or 3 people join the training. We had 5 or 6 people join the training. And now we typically work with 30 people at a time. And we do that 6 to 7 times a year.
And I love how you make it a full circle certification. You don't leave any aspect out, but you also you have to walk through these steps in order to get over here. You have to embrace every aspect of it, not only so you could be a great facilitator, but you can understand how all the pieces fit together so that you can make it sustainable, so you can grow, so that you can provide that value. And I think that's wonderful because so many times as individuals who are passionate about something, we take a little piece of it and we forget all the other steps. And it's really important to remember the other steps and the impact all those have when they're working together successfully. Mm-hmm. And the other thing you mentioned that I really want to highlight here, because I think it is so important no matter what you do when it comes to healing. If you're that person who is the instructor, you have to know how to deal with situations as they arise. Like you had mentioned, if someone's going through trauma and now that starts to hit, how as the facilitator are you going to deal with that? You can't let someone just walk out of a room now having all this impact and not knowing what to do with it. So for you,
Mhm.
how do you really sit down and express to individuals, especially during that certification process, of the power when certain emotions come out, how to deal with that and kind of embrace it in a positive way when a client might discover one of those?
Yeah. So what we do in the training program is a trauma informed approach. Trauma informed is simply, by definition, meaning that you recognize that people oftentimes have some form of trauma, right? And that this person that I'm working with is likely to have some form of trauma. And I'm approaching this person as if they have experienced trauma before and that it is impacting their life at this time. So when we have a trauma informed approach, we know how to operate in a space in what we call a container in order to support someone in releasing and healing those previous experiences. Oftentimes, whenever someone has experienced trauma in the sonic neural breathwork experience, they can relive that experience, right? It surfaces to the top. The subconscious mind is very good at putting memories with unresolved emotions deep into a file cabinet. And if that is something that we need to heal, then that file cabinet gets opened during the breathwork session and it comes right to the surface. And oftentimes we have to re experience that emotion that we felt during that traumatic experience. And we have to, as I say, feel it to heal it. And so there's a couple of different keys here that a facilitator must have dialed in before working with someone who has trauma. And that's being response able, being able to respond accordingly, being able to support that person in the container, being able to, if they need water, get them water. If they need space, give them space. Just knowing how to respond and being able to do that accordingly, focusing and paying attention to the experience that they're having. And the other piece is holding space, right? And what is holding space? But just being a loving, present energy in the space of this person having this experience, not inflicting our own opinions and desires upon them while they're having their experience, but being an open, neutral conduit of that high vibrational energy of love. So this person feels safe. So this person feels like they are safe to process and safe to heal and safe to expand and safe to feel things that are frankly very uncomfortable to feel. So there's a couple of different pieces there, but ultimately a facilitator should know how to be able to respond to a situation. They should be trauma informed, meaning that they understand that this person likely has some sort of trauma and they need to be able to hold space appropriately.
And I love that because really when we do breath work, we're doing it to heal, but you don't know. As someone
Mhm.
who might walk in, and I'll use myself as an example, I go to Ben and I go, okay, I'm open to the experience. But
Mhm.
some form of trauma might come up during that enlightening session that I didn't even think about. It's so far back in that filing cabinet that you mentioned that I've put it out of my mind completely. I didn't even think it
Mhm.
was going to be a factor. And now, not only am I navigating it, but I need to be in an environment where it's that safe space. And I think
Mhm.
having a safe space is really that key to helping others evolve
Mhm.
and actually deal with what is being presented to them in that moment. So I love how you really focus in on it as understanding these could come up and it shouldn't be okay, what am I going to do now? I think some
Mhm.
people who go into healing and don't take the steps and work with an individual like Ben on actually getting a certification and going through that whole process tend to sometimes go, okay, what do I do in this situation? Because they're not properly trained. So I
Sure.
would advise anyone who wants to go into breath work, definitely work with Ben because Ben and I have had discussions and he really puts not only the person who wants to become the facilitator first, but is always thinking about how they can help the next
Mhm.
person. So Ben, for you, as you've gone through this journey and you're a facilitator yourself, you've been the, I don't want to put it this way, but like the client, the person going through the experience. You went through it first. You then created your business and was that facilitator. You still are that facilitator, going into retreats and helping others, but then also paying it forward and helping the next set of facilitators grow for themselves. What has been the most rewarding thing, and what continues to like get you pumped in the day of like, oh, I didn't think someone would get this out of the certification process, but they got it, and I'm so happy they did.
Yeah, it's really to see my students creating impact and sharing how that impact makes them feel. If you read my Instagram bio, it says helping humans live their dharma. And what we're here to do at Awaken Breath is to nurture people who feel the call to help others heal, who feel the call to help humanity expand and uplift its consciousness. And they can come to a training, they can come into a community, they can come into a brother and sisterhood, a tribe that nurtures and fosters that. The reason why I created this is because I didn't have this as I was growing up in this world, as I was becoming a facilitator. I had to go to all these different trainings all over Asia and then figure it out for myself, quite a bit of it. So the reason why we have the high impact healer training is because I want to create an experience in which someone comes into a community and they receive every piece that they need in order to grow to the next level. Like, I no longer need you, Ben, but I love you, so I want to hang out and stick around, right? The problem is all these facilitator trainings, they only teach you one style of breath work, or they only teach you breath work itself. They don't teach you how to host retreats, coaching programs, and hold workshops. They don't teach you how to be a wellness entrepreneur. These things are difficult to do, but we've taken on this task because one, it's necessary. And two, I love to teach and educate people. And three, people need this education in order to be the most effective healer that they can be. High impact healer, it's right there in the name. If you are creating a lot of impact as a healer, then you are doing what you're here to do. You're living your dharma. If you're not creating that impact, you're not going to be fulfilled and you're not going to feel successful because you're not going to be able, frankly, to make enough money to fuel the entire system of doing what you love and what gives back to the world, right? So that's what pumps me up, is seeing students achieving success. When I see that, it makes me realize what we're doing here is working, what we're doing here is effective, what we're doing here is beautiful, and what an incredible life. My life and what I do in my career is the example of what we call this success, this three-part quadrant of success. And for me to inspire, empower the students through my life, right, is a big piece of it because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what empowers people, and I make great money doing it. And so if that can be seen and understood and integrated and embodied by the students and replicated, then I'm achieving what I would call the greatest success. And I've been blessed to do that.
And I love that. And I love how you really make it towards elevating others. Again, I keep saying that throughout this, but I can't emphasize it enough. You really look at the full picture and that three quadrants and go, okay, how can this all connect? And it is something, you just brought up in that example as well, is you didn't think you were going to get into where you are today, but it's because people don't have the knowledge, and it's important to actually share it in a way that is beneficial for others to be able to elevate themselves. I see it all the time. People come to me and it's piecemealed. Even in when you're starting your own business, there's so many things in general, whether it's breath work or not, that you don't know, and you don't know how to navigate. And it can be so overwhelming in something that we go, okay, but what is like the right answer? Where am I supposed to actually look towards so I don't spend 5 years to the far right when I should have been spending them to the far left? How do I
Exactly.
navigate this? So that's one thing too I love about what you're doing is let's cut the BS. Like, this
Hmm.
is what will help you grow. Here's the
Hmm.
steps. I went through it myself. I've done these steps. I've seen what works. I've seen what's not. So let me give you the blueprint. And I've actually had a discussion with someone, and we talked about how you can lay out that blueprint and it can look so easy that someone goes, it can't be this easy. Like, it
Hmm.
really can't, because it's such a, in their mind, a big task. But it's like when you've done it before and you actually know the blueprint and you know that works, as long as you follow those steps and actually embrace the process you're in, it can be that easy. You can excel and you can grow. And you really highlighted that of like, just do it, just lean into it, just embrace it, and you can get that outcome. And
Yeah.
for for you, as you did that in your journey, and you see others doing that and then kind of step back because they're, they get that moment of hesitation or unsureness, how do you kind of provide that reassurance to them, since you've gone through an experience, this same experience, prior, you've been there, so you know what those moments and those feelings could be like?
You just have to nurture people and remind them that they're on the right path, because people will become emotionally driven whenever they are transforming. So if someone is going from a mailman to a wellness entrepreneur, the transformation process is not pretty. It's beautiful, but it's also challenging, uncomfortable. There's a metamorphosis taking place. Just as a caterpillar turns into goo before it becomes a butterfly, this person is having to break down all the structures of who they are in order to rebuild who they are becoming, right? And remember who they truly are. So when someone is feeling down on themselves because they don't want to put themselves out there, they're afraid nobody will show up to their workshop, they're afraid nobody will show up to their retreat. This has been happening a lot lately, actually. And so it's pertinent to the conversation. When someone's feeling down on themselves and they're not able to really get out there and create the impact that they want to create, often it is because of a subconscious fear of unworthiness, fear of success, even. And this person has to stop and take a breath and have awareness that they are transforming into this next version of themselves. The awareness allows them to understand, oh, this is why it's uncomfortable. Okay, I get it. There's a systematic approach to this, right? And then from there, it's taking action, taking radical action and aligned action. And so what we do is we build this new muscle of stopping, pausing, breathing, relaxing the nervous system, bringing awareness into the container, into this experience, into the situation, and then taking action on it anyway. And when we do this over and over and over again, we build this muscle of, hey, I might feel a little unworthy, but I'm going to take action on it anyway. Because every time I take action on it, it feels good. I feel successful. I feel accomplished. And then when somebody says, wow, this was amazing, thank you so much, then you have that positive feedback loop in which you can then say, okay, this isn't just about me. It's about creating impact for others. That's why I originally came here to learn this. So it really is about this little systematic approach to when this happens, because it happens often, of stopping, reflecting, breathing, bringing awareness in, and then taking radical action and doing that over and over and over again until that fear dissipates.
I love that. And I think it's such a great insight and skill and tip for all of our listeners, no matter what they have going on in their life,
Yeah.
to do, and a great way to wrap up the show. So, Ben, how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect with me at my Instagram account is connect and evolve. It's all one word. Also, you'll see the other Instagram accounts that I have there linked in my bio. We have the Peaceful Warrior Brotherhood, where we do men's experiences and men's retreats that are very powerful. And we have Awaken Breath as well, which is an experiential Instagram account. So if anybody wants to go and do some breath work there, they can. They can also do breath work with me on Connect and Evolve and learn a ton. I'm educating all the time there. And of course, awakenbreath.org. And then if you are called to become a breathwork facilitator, if you're called to really live your dharma as a healer and someone who is creating healing experiences, if this resonates in your body, then I invite you to go to awakenbreath.org/HIH. And this is going to be the landing page of our training program, the High Impact Healer, where you can learn more about what we do and how we support facilitators and healers in going to the next level and really living out this beautiful lifestyle of helping people heal, traveling the world, hosting retreats, living wherever you want, working from wherever you want, and making great money and creating impact. This lifestyle is not easily attainable, but with the right systems and the right guidance, the right mentorship, you can attain it. So if that interests you, go to awakenbreath.org/HIH. You can book a call with me directly. So if you want to talk directly with me, you can. And I look forward to connecting with everybody who takes that opportunity up.
Well, thank you, Ben, for all of your insight today.
Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on.
I loved it. And not only did you give a lot of key takeaways, which some of which I will cover in a second, but you gave us things that no matter who we are, where we are in our journey, we can do. We can start that actual step in breath work throughout the day. We can do it, and it is attainable. And I think it can impact all of us in a positive way. So a few of those key takeaways from today's conversation include: do what you love, do what gives back to the world, and what makes you money. Look at those three aspects, like Ben has mentioned throughout today's conversation, as figure out what you love first, then spin it into how can you give back to the world? And then look at it from the perspective of how can you make money through it. If you do it in that drive, like Ben mentioned, you will really see how it can transcend in a beautiful, impactful way that can give you the return, not just short term, but long term as well. Another tip is people always have access to your breath and to your body. Ben used many examples how breath work and your breath is used in every process of healing. And it is something we carry with us every single day. So no matter where you are, what you're going through in life, if you're traveling, if you're at home, if you're in the office, this is something you can do and you have access to. So take the time to start implementing it. Take the time to slow down and go, okay, let me breathe. Let me use the tool that God gave me when I was born, my breath and my body, as well as Ben mentioned this in the middle of the show, and he walked us through it actually twice, is take those deep belly breaths and put it, inhale, pause for a second, and then exhale, and do 3 to 5 of those at a time. And it can really open your eyes. It can make you more conscious of things around you, how you're feeling, and ready to regain and move forward. As well as there's nothing without breath. I've kind of mentioned this in our others, but it is so true. We cannot do anything if we don't have our breath. As well as you have to feel it to heal it. That was one of my favorites, because you really have to embrace that feeling to be able to acknowledge it, to be able to heal and move forward. And one of my other favorites from today, and it's something we wrapped up with towards the end that Ben mentioned, is stop, pause, breathe. So you can bring awareness and take action. I think it's so important to highlight that as well, because it isn't just about, okay, I'm going to take a breath and then I'll be good and I can move forward. It's take the breath to bring awareness and then take action from that as well. awareness.
Exactly.
This was a great episode with our top-notch guest, Ben Holt. Thank you for listening and have a successful day.